So the pursuit of perfection is unhealthy, they are saying, but perfection is the end goal of any achievement you want to get. So perfection should be your end goal.
My, my opponent claims perfection is the end goal of any pursuit, but that is exactly why it is dangerous. When the finish line is an impossible ideal, the journey becomes a cycle of perpetual failure and burnout. This pursuit shifts focus from growth to a
My opponents claim that having perfect pursuit of perfection is very unhealthy. But when you don't aim high enough, you can't even get half of that, which would lead to undermining the result of the pursuit or quality of pursuit. The topic that learning science is more important because science is forward looking rather than backward facing that what we have done. The science teach us how to do it and what to do it and what is the future.
My opponent claims science is superior because it is forward looking, but progress without a map is blind. History provides the essential context and ethical framework needed to ensure scientific advancement does not repeat past catastrophes. While science explains how things work, history explains how things will not.
Once again got muted. Even though I am a vegetarian, I don't believe that veganism is a future because even though uh, veganism is good for many ethical reasons, but practically it is not the future. First of all, second, in reality, there are many kind of nutrients which we can get from vegan diet.
While they claim veganism is impractical, the global shift toward plant based diets is already an economic reality. They acknowledge the ethical superiority of this lifestyle, yet ignore that scalability is increasing through cellular agriculture. Resource scarcity makes animal farming an obsolete model for a growing population.
True, it is a problem of resources, but when it comes to veganism, still human body is not that able to is not that great in digesting vegetable based diet, and there are plentiful scientific data backing it up. So
They claim that veganism is not the future due to practical concerns, yet they fail to explain why these perceived hurdles outweigh the ethical necessity they already acknowledge. By admitting that veganism is good for ethical reasons, they concede the moral.
while it is true that I consider on ethical base, ethical side, but it is also true that a human body is not able to digest it very well. Then there is also the problem of cultural basis, that even though some culture may be against it, but some are with it. So there is also the cultural basis. Veganism is not future.
Okay, so that people do not deserve second chances, because this is so because there are people who've done like very bad stuff. Okay, for example, like murdering a person. No matter if they're given a chance to improve, deep within themselves, they are still bad. You know, and even if they're given a second chance, there's a very high possibility, and this is statistical data too, that they are more prone to do something bad. They do something bad again, which is why they do not deserve second.
Changes is universal law. So even though some people do some type of bad behavior, some many of them really needs a second chance, because sometimes first would be a mistake, and if they do not get enough enough of their we do not give them enough support, they might get on second hand. So that's why we need to give him second chance.
Okay, so I believe that they do not deserve second chances because they've done something that is extremely bad and extremely wrong. Okay, and they've consciously done it. So they consciously made that decision. Okay, so even if they're given a second chance, it is only human nature of them to repeat the same thing again and just do the same thing again, which is always bad. Which is why I believe that they do not deserve second chances. I believe my opponent has made a very unclear statement in his.
I think you are talking about some bad apple. That doesn't mean all the apples are bad, but I believe that some people, even though they are conscious,
It is proven statistically that people who've done bad are prone to.
I know I'm agreeing with you that yes, it is statistically proven, but that doesn't mean that all the people are bad at and they are doing it consciously. Sometimes they are in peer pressure. Sometimes they are in they have done first time and they take their guilt toward the second time and third time and so on. So if we do not give them support and do not give them second chance, they might not be able to survive this vicious cycle.
Okay, so to refute the argument that my opponent made about pressure from friends or family, for example, even though they were pressured, the decision that they made was conscious, right? They consciously made the decision, even though they knew it was wrong. Even if there was external pressure, they could have refuted the pressure. They could have said no, but they consciously chose to make that decision, which is why I believe that the argument is pointless, and I believe that people should not deserve second chances. In conclusion. GG. Okay, so I believe that social media has made society less social as it forces society, not forces, but imposes society to stick to their phones, to look at social media. It forces people to look for a fake, for a fake outlook on life. Or like, for example, you might look at a person's Instagram story and be like, oh, look, that person went to Paris, for example. That's like so cool. It forces people to stick to their phones and makes society less social.
According to me, social media has made a new type of society, which people, as society is concept of psychology. So when we think about it, social now social society has been created on mobiles. So I don't think it had made society less social, but it had included global population on the society, which is available on online.
Okay, so I believe that social media has made society less social. It, for example, here's teenagers. For example, teenagers are just stuck to their phones. They're stuck to social media. They're just scrolling reels every day for like 8 hours a day. They don't go out. They don't play games with their friends. They are just stuck to their phones. Okay, they're made less social. They don't develop social skills, which is why I believe that social media has made society less social.
I know, but that's why I'm telling that the new generation are living in new society, which is available on online, on social media, which they believe that's a society. In older generation, it
My
was
opponent refuses to. His claim is very vague and refuses to.
okay. So my answer would be I'm telling you that I believe in that they are living in that society, which they believe that this is a society, because every generation has its own norms, which we believe that right now the society is on online on social media. And for a closing statement, I would tell that everyone has their own psyche, and everyone has different type of psychological society behavior. So making it less social, meaning I don't know, but here I don't think that less social would meaning that we are closed.
Okay, so even if we take this supposed society into consideration, it's still my opponent refuses to provide a claim of how teenagers and other people would be more social in that society. It is not. It is although it may be a society as my opponent claims, there is no possible way of proving that people would be more social there. In a physical real life scenario, people are just not social because of social media, which is why I believe that I've won this debate. Dude, are you reading off of a script? Because I can tell.
What?
Are you
Hello?
reading off of
No, no, no,
AI?
no, brother, no, brother. I don't. My what say English is not my first language, so if you want to, I am on live. If you want to see, I am on live on YouTube. So I'm.
What's your user? What's your username?
My name is the fledgling on YouTube. The fledgling.
The fledgling. Okay.
Okay, the fledgling. I'm on live, so you can check it there.
FLEDGEING, right?
Yes, right. And there would be like green, supposedly is green. Yeah, at the you can see that. Hmm.
So,
Good evening, bro.
uh, good luck.
So I believe in there are many cases in recent times that due to going viral, something that is always get beaten by the virality. Like every time something goes viral, people tend to believe it, and the truth doesn't matter to masses as it get viral.
Virality is ultimately good for truth. Why? Because if we see it through a Hegelian dialectical perspective, where we go from thesis, antithesis, synthesis, and that is the best way to get the truth. That the truth prevails from having more truth or more perspective. So if we have virality, then more people are looking at something, and we can easily have a synthesis of a lot of different theses and antitheses that synthesize into the higher truth. And we see that even though some claims might be false, we only know them to be false by having people look at these things and say it is wrong, as John Stuart Mill said.
Mhm. Okay, so I have I don't have that much of evidences, but from recent incidences, I can tell you that during the recent war situation, we can tell that some.
Can you name any of these recent instances and how virality specifically was the purpose?
Yeah, for that I would go for what say Israel Philistine war, and in the Philistine there were there were headlines about 50 to 70,000 children got death, but it was not, because there were not that much children in the Philistine beforehand. So that's.
We do see that even in Palestine, with that the idea around this thing would survive had it not been viral. If it didn't go viral that it was false, then we would still understand and accept it today. But the fact that it went viral was made it easy for people to say, well, no, that's wrong, and that's why we know it is wrong in the first place, because it went viral. And we do see that virality is the best way, because again, you have more people looking at something, more people disproving this thing, and that is ultimately how we get to truth through the dialectical method. We see in closing that I've given a logical framework, the Hegelian dialectical system of going from thesis, antithesis, synthesis, and that when something goes viral, we have more theses and more antitheses that synthesize into a higher truth, such as in Palestine. We only know those things and instances to be wrong because it went viral and more people looked at it and checked the numbers, and then we were able to deduce that no, that is wrong, and therefore virality is ultimately good, even though there might be systems where we see something went wrong because it was, or what viral went wrong, we were able to show.
I have no argument against this. As I am convinced by it. So thank you, brother. I didn't know that type of architecture, so I'll just give up. I don't know how I should argue it, so I'll just give up. All the best, bro. What was the name of the thesis?
The one I brought up was Hegelian Dialectics by George
Hegelian.
Friedrich
Okay,
Hegel. Yeah.
Hegelian. I learned something new.
Yeah, he's like the philosopher of philosophers for history. I really like him, and I like Slavoj Žižek, which is but GG.
Okay.
Have a good one. See ya.
Okay. See ya. So let's understand what is Hegelian. Okay, Hegelianism, the collection of philosophical movement that developed out of thought. 19th century German philosopher. Okay.
Votre chargeur.
Good luck, brother.
Thank you. If you look at every host of the Olympics and every host country, right, they end up suffering a huge, massive financial debt and a whole lot of issues every time they host the Olympics, and we believe it's a bad investment. At the end of the day, it is a whole honor, and the government see this honor as a reason to kick people out of their homes, try and build new roads, try and build hotels for foreigners and for tourists that are going to come because of the Olympics. And we believe the amount of financial debts that these countries occur.
It is true that Olympics makes ghost cities and this type of depths, but it is also true for that particular time of Olympics. The revenue and GDP growth of that particular region increases as well, and people get rich around those places. So it's also there.
We believe this is factually incorrect where my opponent tells us that the debt only exists for a while. Since 1960, no modern Olympic Games has ever stayed under budget, right? At the end of the day, it ends up still going over budget, and that is inherently a problem. Cities often face costs hundreds of percentage higher than what they originally planned, and this leads to long-term debts. Also, we'll tell you that the amount of money they spend in building these specialized arenas and hotels, at the end of the day, it doesn't be used again because after the Olympics, they won't come again, and those buildings become white elephant.
Olympics doesn't just bring what's a game. It also brings tourism, which in short term we can look at it as it does for short term. It may bring up debts, but for long term, it may increase tourism for that country. For closing, okay, so if I think that it also Olympics always try to bring out the charm of that country. Like 2008 in China, the Olympic of China had made the country of China very well understood by the rest of the world. So that's also that.
At the end of the day, the word investment has to do with economics and money, right? At the point where we show you economical references to show that it's a bad investment, we'll win this debate. What have we given you this debate? One, we've shown you why it's a massive debt because since the 1960s, no Olympics has ever stayed within budget, sometimes going hundreds of percentages above budget. Two, we've shown these things that they actively invest in at the end of the day even become a cost to them because after the Olympics, nobody uses these buildings again. They've not tackled any of these points. Therefore, we win.
Okay, I consider, brother, your voice is like heavy testosterone.
Well,
Your voice is like a testosterone boost, like heavy. You have very good voice, brother.
thank you.
Okay, bye, brother. Yes, the plow. I don't know what is the meaning of plow, but my first language is Gujarati, so I am not yet good in English. But I try to. I want to debate, so I'm on oyaple. Oh, it's 12 o'clock. No problem. Let's go for last debate, and I'll wrap this up. Good evening, brother.
Hello.
Good evening.
All the best.
All the best.
Space exploration currently, in its current form, is extremely expensive. That's why you see it usually nationalized in most instances because it's extremely expensive. And most of the time, we do this for usually like other sort of grander schemes for humanity rather than any form of financial cost. All of these things don't actually return any form of investment. It's very hard to extract any form of resources from these things. And these things happen so far into the future that it's uncertain whether or not we can even reach these benefits in the first place. Due to its large cost, it oftentimes trades off at opportunities for
While it is true that current space exploration is very costly, but at the same time, it also provides the future technology which we might need in future. Like in 1960s, when first technology first in 1960s and 70s, when first time NASA built their first programs. At that time, many technology were built at that time to support.
even if the claim here is that building space like space exploration builds better technologies, I think it's better if we directly use this funding towards the STEM sectors themselves instead of funding into space exploration. I don't really think that this funding is efficient, as it's oftentimes used for things like fuel or other forms of research. When it's if the end goal is ultimately better technologies, it's simply better to fund them directly, and it's also uncertain whether or not you actually get better.
Currently, like space exploration is very good. Like recently, SpaceX got its IPO, and in that documentary, I also understood that right now people are going towards space because it would decrease the cost of data center in the around the orbit of Earth. So that's also the question, that if it is costlier or cheaper to make a data center in around the Earth. So space exploration was very good idea for that. Second would be that there are many resources like what was the name? Hydrogen's isotope, which was very profoundly found on moon. So if we can extract that, we can go for fusion what was uh,
I think this claim about data centers being cheaper because of space exploration isn't mechanized and it can't be credited fully as an argument. I've explained why on our side there are simply better things to do with the funding. You can invest in things directly from better technologies if that's what the debate is about. And ultimately, it's impossible or nearly impossible to retrieve any form of financial gain from space exploration, as it oftentimes has very little to actually mine back to humanity. GG's.
okay. Yeah, I just got that lost last argument right. I
Sorry?
My last argument was not valid, I think. Yeah.
Oh. Oh well. I mean, I hope you're having fun on the website though.
Yeah, yeah, I was.
All right. All right. GG. I'll see you around.
Okay, bye. So let's go home, brother. mm, Now it's time to sleep. Good night. What's the name? I don't know. What's your name, brother? Plow. What's your real name? Okay, so let's call you Spears only. Okay, Spears, bye. Now I have to sleep. It's almost 12 o'clock in my country. Let's see what you have. 21 sub. Okay, 2018. No problem. GG.